We have seen in earlier videos how we can insert elements in the queue, that means an NQ operation, and we have also seen how we can delete elements from the queue, that is a DQ operation. Suppose we begin with an empty queue. So right now there is no element in the queue, and we perform an NQ operation and we are inserting an element 12. So this is, since this is the first element in the queue, and if there is only one element in the queue, front and rear both would point to the same element and 12 will be inserted in the queue. Remember that empty queue is always indicated by front and rear both equal to -1. Now we have another NQ operation. So since elements are inserted only from the rear end, the rear is going to be incremented to point to the next available space, and we are going to insert element 5 in the queue. Now there is another NQ operation and 7 has to be inserted. So again increment rear to point to the next available space and insert 7 in the queue. The next operation that we want to do is a DQ operation. Since the queue follows a FIFO principle, that means the first element that was in has to be deleted. So 12 will be deleted from this queue since that is being pointed to by the front variable. For deletion or for DQ operation, we simply increment the front variable. So the front variable is now pointing to 5, and this is no longer part of the queue. Again an NQ operation for 8. So rear will be incremented and 8 will be put in that particular position. Now a DQ operation. DQ operation means front will point to the next element in the queue and 5 will no longer be part of this queue. Again an NQ operation. So for NQ, again rear would be incremented to the next available space and 2 will be inserted there. Now suppose I want to NQ another element, say 9. I want to insert one more element in the queue, but we cannot do so because as per our earlier discussions, if rear has reached max -1, that means the queue is full. This is the condition that we had seen earlier, that if rear is equal to max -1, it indicates that the queue is full. However, you can see that we still have space over here in the array and where we should be allowed to put elements. So this is the problem with a linear array. If we have a linear queue like this, as soon as rear equals max -1, it will be considered as an full queue and no more insertions would be allowed. That would result in an overflow. So how can we take care of this problem? A solution to this is a circular array. So imagine this linear queue as a circular queue like this. So here you are having 7 followed by 8 and 2, and these two available spaces we assume that they can be reached from this end as well. So earlier what we were having in a linear array, if the current position was I, so if the current position was I, then the next position was I plus 1 and the previous position was I minus 1. This was the case in a linear array. What will be the changes in a circular array? In a circular array, if the current position is I, so if this is I over here, then the next position would be I plus 1 modulus n. So if we take I is equal to 3, then the next position would be 3 plus 1 modulus 5, because n is, in this case, it is 5. So 3 plus 1 modulus 5 is going to give us 4. If I becomes 5, so 5 modulus 5 would be equal to 0. That means we will come back to this first element over here. So once the queue is full, which would happen at I is equal to 4. At I is equal to 4, we are going to have 4 plus 1 modulus 5, which would be 5 modulus 5, which will be 0. So the next position would be indicating us a 0, and we would be able to put our element in the next position. How is the previous position defined in a circular array? In a circular array, the previous position is I minus 1, the way we had over here, but we add plus over here to avoid negative values, modulus n. So suppose if we say that our current subscript is 0, then what is our previous position? So in that case, what will be our previous position? I plus n minus 1 modulus 5, which would be 4 modulus 5, which gives us 4. So we know that 4 is the previous position for subscript 0. So you always have to remember these. The next position I plus 1, but in circular case it would be I plus 1 modulus n. Previous position is I minus 1, but in circular array it would be I minus 1 plus n modulus n. So how do we insert elements in a circular queue? So whenever we are inserting element in queue, there are conditions to be checked, that whether it is an overflow or whether it is an empty queue. So these are the conditions that we need to check. So how can we check whether it is an overflow or not? If this circular queue was overflowing, we would have elements over here also, and rear would be here. In this case, the next position of rear would point to front. And what is the next position for rear? Rear plus 1 modulus n. So if this is equal to front, we will print an overflow message to the user. So this will show that the queue is already overflowing. There is no more space for adding more elements. The other case is to check whether it is empty or not. If it is empty, that means the first element that we are adding now would be the first element. And what do we do when it is the first element? It is same like we do for the regular queue. Front and rear both are initialized to 0, and at the subscript of rear we add the element that we wanted to insert. Else, if there are multiple elements already present, or at least one element already present in the queue, we simply increment the rear to the next position. And what is the next position? Rear plus 1 modulus n, and insert the value at that particular subscript. So if we do a NQ10, since currently we are already having elements in this queue, we will come to this particular part of the code. Rear would be equal to rear plus 1, which is 4 plus 1 modulus n, so 5 modulus 5 and 0. So 10 would be coming over here. Again we want to NQ15. So again rear would be rear 0 plus 1, which is 1 modulus 5, and it will give us 1. So 15 would be inserted here, and rear would come finally over here. Let's see how we can delete element from the queue. When we are deleting, again we have to check whether it is empty or not, or the other case would be that there is only one element in the queue, and then in this case, after deletion, now the queue would become empty. So the first is to check whether it is empty or not, and if it is empty, we will print that it is an underflow condition and no more elements can be deleted from the queue. Is empty is always checked or is always represented by front and rear both equal to -1. So if both are -1, we know that the queue is empty. Else we have to check whether there is only one element in the queue. If there is only one element in the queue, then front would always be equal to rear. You can check my earlier videos for this. So if front is equal to rear, that means there is only one element in the queue. And now if we remove that element, the queue will become empty. So if front is equal to rear, we will simply make front and rear both equal to -1, which will show that the queue is now empty. Else, if there is at least two elements already present in the queue, that means what we have to do is, since the element would be deleted from the front end, so this element would go, front simply has to point to the next position. So the next position for front would be front plus 1 modulus n. So this is how a circular queue works.